welcome yet again to another edition of Felixstowe Matters. Now, you know I like to bring you things which are controversial, interesting and up to the minute. Now, what is more interesting at the moment than the behaviour of our young people? It's causing a great deal of concern throughout the country and, in fact, throughout the world. But there are awfully good things happening in Felixstowe. I don't know whether you know it, but I'm sure you've all heard and seen Escape Reality. Now, Escape Reality is a group of youngsters, and they do these acrobatics. Amazingly successful. They've been to Miami, they've been all over the world, they're doing shows, and they're getting paid for it. Now, what is so remarkable is that it was started by a young man called Grant. Now, Grant Belton. And at 16, he started this amazing little group. He couldn't get a job. He left school without any qualifications. He is, if I may say so, I'm sure he won't mind me saying it, he's got tattoos, piercings, and coloured hair, and he looks really, you know, people stereotype him. He's going to say something to you about people, making their mind up about him without knowing him. But the whole point is he started this group and it's going strong. He's now 18 and I'm going to introduce you, and what is going to be amazing, he's going to talk to you by himself about all the things that interest him and his age group. So welcome, Grant. It's very nice to have you with us.
Hello, Art.
And it's over to you.
Thank you. The first thing that I really wanted to get off my kind of chest was the actual idea, the whole thing, kids. Now, I don't know what your idea of kids are, but mine are probably very different. I think when you say kids, it's not teenagers. I think when you say the word kid means 12 and under. And let's face it, kids today, they have got a lot more to worry about than you give them credit for. I mean, what did we have to worry about when we were 8? It was what raindrop got to the bottom of the window first when you were in the car. You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden they leave school and they're thrown into this huge world of, you've got to get a job, you've got to earn, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you're going to get nowhere. And I think it's not that they're wanting to hurt you. I think not even that they want to do anything like that. I think it's that they're worried and they don't know how to show you it. I think it's they're scared. They're just scared. And most scared people, they become angry. And that's when they start doing stupid things. Because it's to try and escape from this horrible world that we're living in. I mean, all we can do in a world where it's very hard to actually make a living of yourself and make something of yourself in this day and age for kids, I think that it's not so much that they're trying to get on your nerves and they're not trying to break things. I think they're just trying to get away. They're trying to make something new. Now, when it comes into stereotypes, that's a really difficult thing to comprehend. Because obviously, as you can tell, I've got tattoos, I've got piercings, I don't look as a normal person would in this day, as it's said anyway. I think I look normal, but everyone else looks weird to me. I think that my stereotype personally, I think I get called a grebo, and I'm not exactly sure what that is. I get called a goth, an emo, what else do I get? I get dirty sometimes. And I've never understood it because they're all different things. Goths and emos are completely separate, but never mind. I suppose if it's what floats their boat. Now, when I'm put into my category is said to be rock and roll. Now, rock and roll is just something so different, and I love rock and roll because it can set you free. It's not just something that's said; it can set you free. And I'm not trying to preach to you, and I'm not trying to tell you to listen to rock and roll. All I'm saying is, personally, I love it, and it's what gets me through this day and age. But you've got all different kinds of rock and roll. You can't ever put someone, just because they like rock music or because it has a set of drums in it, it's not all the same thing. Like, my music taste is completely different to some of my friends' music taste, but we're both from the same genre. I mean, in fact, my fiancée, she loves a band called Skindred, and that's reggae and punk. I don't mind Skindred, I like them, but they're not my personal favourite. I prefer more melodic rock, such as Heat and Danger Danger, and that's a completely other end of the scale. It's absolutely phenomenal, the actual difference it has between them. Yet it's still in the same category. And it doesn't matter if I walk around in some of the most weird things. Like, don't worry about what people tell you to wear. And it's what brings me on to something like clothing. I mean, when you're clothing, if you want to go out dressed as a giraffe every day, then do it. If it makes you happy, do it. Don't worry about what someone says. Because if you constantly worry about what someone thinks of you, then you're never going to be happy with yourself. I go around in things like skinny jeans, I wear leggings, I wear cowboy boots. I don't really care. I'll admit it to you, and I'll freely come and show you. If you if you're in town someday, you'll see me, and I will not be ashamed of it. I walk around in girls' jeans. I wear girls' tops sometimes. I've got long hair. I don't care. It's just who I am, and it's what makes me happy, and what makes me so comfortable with myself that I don't really mind being put into a category, because at the end of the day, I know who I am. They don't. And I know that I can't get a job now because of the way I look. But I don't need to. I've got my escape reality. And I'm not trying to tell you, oh yeah, you should all get tattoos and piercings and not get jobs, because that's not what I'm trying to get to you. I'm trying to get to you the fact that you should be happy with who you are. And if you're not happy with who you are, then you've got to change. Because if you think about it, and I've never ever been able to get an honest answer out of anyone when I say this, but can you honestly, right now, look me dead in the eye and say, this is how I want to be for the rest of my life. I am completely happy with myself, and I'm going to be this way for the rest of my life. And if you can't straight away say yes, then something about you are not happy about. Now, tattoos. Obviously I have a lot. I plan to get a lot more. Nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to get my neck tattooed. I'm going to get all up here done. I'm getting all my arms done, all my legs done. I'm getting my body done. I'm getting my hands and fingers done. I'm getting my feet done. There is nothing going to stop me ever doing that. Not even the argument of, oh, but when you're 50, they're going to look horrible. I don't care. I'm not worrying about that. I'm not 50 yet. I'm going to enjoy myself now. Your body's an amazing instrument. Use it every way you can. And I express myself by getting art put on my body. I love it. I love tattoo art. It's absolutely phenomenal, the things they can do. And I think that don't just go out and get a tattoo for the sake of having one, because that annoys me. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to get a tattoo, so I'm going to get a little fairy, or I'm going to get a few lines, or I'm going to get a tribal pattern. Just forget all of that, because it's just stupid. Right? You don't need it. Get something that means a lot to you. There is no tattoo on my body that I have that doesn't mean something to me. I have a rose on my back for my nan. I have words here for myself. I have words here that me and my fiancé share. Words here that me and my fiancé share. All of these bands help me through hard times. And I think that I'm getting 2 more soon, actually. I'm getting snakes all the way up the side of my body. That's for my own personal reasons. But I think that as well, when you're coming into it, and if you ever worried about telling your mum or your dad or whoever you live with, oh, I want a tattoo, or I've got a tattoo, in fact, maybe you've got a tattoo right now, but you won't tell anyone because you're worried about what someone will say, or you're worried you'll get in trouble, which is obvious. I was worried the first time I ever got one. I was worried that I'd get in trouble, but then I stopped and thought, well, wait a minute, how much trouble can I get in, seriously? Think about it. How much trouble can you seriously get in? They'll ground me, they'll take this from me, they'll take that from me. So what? If you've got what you want, then what does it matter? And I think that that's the only thing that's ever going to make you happy, is if you do what you want. That's the whole kind of genre I'm trying to get across. You've got to do what you want to do in life. I'm not saying that you can run riot and just go nuts and not worry about anyone else, because no, that's not at all what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that you need to make yourself happy before you try and make others happy, because if you're not happy with yourself, you will never make anyone else happy. And that is the general truth. Obviously, springing off tattoos, other people would say, well, what about piercings? I actually have a lot of piercings. I don't have as many as I used to. I used to have 38 in total. I had them everywhere. I had all my ears done, most of my face covered. I had my hands covered. I had the webbing of my hands pierced. I've got my nipple, my belly button. I've had just about everywhere pierced. And that's a weird one, actually, because it's not many people's cup of tea, but they do like them. Most people, you'll find that, you probably won't get it when I say it, but I don't see an ear piercing any different to a lip piercing or a nipple piercing or anything like that, or a nose piercing. I don't see that as any different. I mean, people would say to me, why have you got that done? And I'll be like, well, you've got your ears pierced, what's the difference? And they'll be like, yeah, but that's my ear. And I'm like, but that's my nose. Why does it matter? Where was the rule book to say that your ear and your nose was completely separate when you come to piercings? And I've never really understood that. Again, it's just my way of expressing myself. I'm not telling you to go and do it. I'm not saying, just go get needles and shove them through your face, because, yeah, I did, but then again, now I've just got loads of holes everywhere. Smoking in society. Personally, I do. I know I shouldn't, but I do. It's something I started when I was younger, thinking I was bad. And yeah, I think that it really all started when it was my birthday and I was very drunk, and I started crying, I think. I'm not sure what about, but my friend said, "Oh, do you want one of these? It makes you feel better." And I was like, what is it? And he goes, "Oh, just take it." So I did, and it ended up, it did help me, but I'm not saying it won't like you. Please don't start smoking. For the love of God, don't start smoking, because it is horrible. It's a trap. You will not get out of it. And if you do get out of it, well done. Tell me how if you do. I'm personally trying to quit at the moment, and it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. 4 years of escape reality, and this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. That's how bad it is. But on that note, anyway, on a brighter note, smoking is something you are going to see young kids do in our days, because they grow up with their mum and dad smoking, or even if their mum and dad don't smoke, they'll see someone of their mates do it, or they'll see someone in school do it. It's unpreventable. I'm sorry, but it is. Your kids are going to smoke at least once in their teenage life. It's going to happen. And if you keep... I always say this, and if there are parents watching this now and you are doing this to your child, I really beg you to stop it, because you will find at the end of the day you're only going to have something you didn't want. If you are saying A to your child, do not do that. B, I don't mind you doing that, but I'd rather you wouldn't. Or C, yes you can. B was the best answer. Right? I don't want you to, but you can if you want to. Because that then is giving them a choice. It's giving them freedom to make their own choices in life. Because that's what every kid wants. They want to be the big adult. And if you give them a choice, and they make the wrong choice, be there for them afterwards. But if you say to them, I will advise you not to make that choice, and they do, then you say, now you have to deal with the consequences. And it's just giving them that life experience, so that then when they get into the big wide world, because, I mean, let's face it, from 16 to 20, you think you're the big I am, and you think, oh, I know everything and anything about the world, but really we know nothing. At the minute, I know nothing. I'm only giving you the benefit of my advice and my experience. I mean, I didn't have the best kind of well, I still don't have the best dad in the world. He's a bit of a... But that's another subject. Yeah, but obviously I had it rough, and, I'm sure people have had it rougher than me. But then again, that's just the thing. That's why we don't need stereotypes in this day and age, because most kids in our day have been brought up rough. And I think it's friends that got me through it. And I think all they need is a good mate, because they might say, oh, yeah, this is my mandem, or this is my bruv, and I don't know what that means, but let's face it, to be fair, they're not real friends. They're friends that might enjoy the same thing as you, but they're not. I guarantee they've never actually sat with someone. I guarantee they've never cried on their shoulder, or they've never told them something no one else could know, because they don't trust them. And my brother is younger than me, and he's, I don't want to stereotype, but in that category, if you like, of the normal people have seen today. And I asked him once, have you ever actually told your so-called best friend anything about you? And he goes, yeah, I tell him all the time. I asked him, what did you say? He says, well, he knows how old I am, he knows where I was born, when I was born. And I was like, did you tell him about the things you've been through? He goes, well, no. I was like, well, how's he your best friend then? I don't think if you can't trust your best friend, you can't trust anyone. And I don't think that you're ever too bad to cry, you're ever too bad a man to have feelings. I cry with my best friend all the time. If something upsets me, I'm going to cry about it. I don't care. Why would that bother you? It's a normal bodily reaction to cry. Now, I'm probably bringing you all down, so I'm going to go on to my next subject. Drinking. I do. I love it. I do enjoy drinking. I'm sorry. And I know I'll probably get in trouble for saying that, but I do. I love it. What I think is... I think it's the same as smoking. Kids are going to drink either way. They're going to do it. I think that if you try and prevent it again, it's going to happen. So I'm not saying go and buy them alcohol. That's not what I'm saying. But you know, I often get into rants like this. I mean, once I start talking, I can't shut up. But I think, you know, just let them have some freedom. I'm not saying let them get wasted, but if they're going to have their first drink, which they are, they will, do it with you. So you can control it. You don't have to let them go out and get drunk on the street and pass out somewhere. Because the only reason they're going to do that is to feel better about themselves, and they'll drink a little bit too much, not knowing how much. We've all done it. And pass out somewhere, and then they're in real danger. If they're inside the house with you and they do it, it doesn't matter. So don't you think it would be a better idea, if your child is going to drink anyway, to have it where you know they are, and have it in a controlled environment? Because that's what my mum did with me. She said, I don't want you going out on the street and getting injured. I'd rather have you in the house where I know you're safe. Now, drugs, I don't do drugs at all. No, I don't like drugs. I think drugs are stupid. And if you do drugs, any sort, I advise you to stop. Because you might think it feels good now, but trust me, I know people that have been taking drugs a long time, and they are messed up for life. I have a friend, in fact, who used to snort certain things, and now his nasal passages are absolutely gone. And he sniffs all the time, and he can't help it. I don't like drugs. I've never done them. I will not do them. I mean, obviously my friends have done it. I know quite a few people that have done it. But I think, again, if I'm doing it, saying don't do it, you're more than likely going to do it. But I advise you not to. From the bottom of my heart, I do advise you not to do drugs. Because if you're going to do anything, then get a hobby. Do something active. Don't do that, because it's not only going to waste all your money, you're going to get hooked on it, and it'll be the priority in your life, and that's not what you need when you're growing up, especially when you're trying to get to adulthood, because it's going to bring you down, and it'll feel good at the time, I'm sure it will, but afterwards you know it's not going to. And I think my advice on dreams. Now, I do like this subject. I love the subject of dreams, because obviously I'm chasing mine. Dreams. What are dreams? I think that dreams are that little thing in the back of your head that you've always had there. I mean, I know when you were 6 and stuff, you wanted to be like a fireman or a goldfish. But I think I wanted to be a policeman, actually, when I was growing up, until I got to about 8. And then I went to a pantomime, actually, with my auntie. She took me there for my birthday, and it was with Peter Pan. And I saw all these pirates kind of jumping like over this barrel, doing flips off a trampette, and I was mesmerised by that. I thought that was absolutely incredible. So what I did, I actually got so impressed by it that I thought, I want to do that. But then I went back, obviously, and I didn't try, and I thought, oh, I'm never going to be able to do it. I thought that was just a magical thing that pirates did. But I then moved down to Felixstowe, and I went about 2 years in Felixstowe without doing anything. I had no friends, I had nothing. And then my brother, he advised me to go to a dance class with him. I didn't want to go, but he eventually dragged me there. And then I went there and I started enjoying it, and I met a lad called Joe, and he asked me if I knew what free running was, and I said no. So he took me down to the Spa Gardens in Felixstowe, and obviously we just started jumping around. I started to really enjoy it. I went down every day. I was training every single day. Muscles ached so much you couldn't believe it. But that's what the best part of it is, because once you've hurt your muscles to such a point, you know that it's going to be a good payoff when they repair. And then I started meeting people that did the same thing as me, but were in my position. They wanted to do something with their life. They wanted to do something extra, but they never had the push to do it. And I think it was, I believe in fate personally, but I don't know if you do. I believe that everything's meant to happen for a reason, and I believe that all my friends would walk together. I didn't meet them for 2 years. Apparently I'd walk past them in school every day, and I'd never noticed them. However, I met them all in a week. just in the same spot in Spa Gardens. We all started training together. Look where we are, 3-4 years down the line, and now we're touring England, flying over to Miami. We're getting paid for what we love to do. So I think that is one of the biggest things I can ever give you, is if I can give you any advice, follow your dream no matter what it is. Because if you don't, and you don't even try, if you try and fail, at least you can say I tried. But if you try and you succeed, you'll be more happy. If you never try at all, what are you going to do? When, I don't know, fair enough, you might get really far some other way. Maybe you'll become a businessman. Maybe you'll own a shop or something. Maybe you'll, I don't know. But yeah, when you've done all this and you think, okay, now it's time to like sit back, settle down, let someone else take the reins, are you honestly going to sit there and think, what if I had? Because personally, that idea scares me. I can't comprehend that idea of sitting there and not even trying. And I think that even if you try and you fall down, that's why you need your mates to pull you back up again. That's exactly what all my mates do. And I just don't understand why people can't see that in society. I really don't get it. I can't understand why we have such a diverse community around us, yet we're all in our own little categories. We've got kids, adults, and then the older people. I don't get that. Why can't we just all be together? And why does it matter so much that we're so different? Surely it would be better that way. If everyone was the same, you'd get bored. I just can't understand why. I mean, we personally, something happened a few weeks ago that actually shocked me. Because obviously we do a course at ITS, Youth Form, and we were on a lunch break, and we were sitting by the bins in the triangle, just eating away, and we're actually verbally abused by an elder woman, saying that we look like trash and that we're never going to get jobs and that we're a waste of space. And that upset me a little bit, because she didn't know who we was at all. She never spoke to us before. She just came up and started doing that. And I don't see what we did to deserve it. We weren't giving any abuse to her. We weren't being loud. We were just sitting there eating lunch. And that's, again, the stereotype thing. She saw the way we looked and made a snap judgment, which you should never do. I know that it's human nature to make your snap judgment. Most people you'll find will make judgments in the first 8 seconds of seeing someone. And you can't help that. It's psychological. You'll make a decision on someone the second you meet them. But then, if you are going to do that, at least take the time to get to know the person personally. If I met you and I made a judgment on you that was bad, and then I spoke to you, I would hope and pray that you would prove me wrong. Because that is the best thing ever. Being proved wrong, people don't like. But I think if I made a judgment on you that was bad, I'd love you to prove me wrong. But then again, I suppose it's all part of life. And so is, I think, why can't your dreams be part of your life? Why should that be such a thing that, oh my God, my dreams, and I've got to run away to get them? I mean, yeah, I left college to do it. I left school and college with nothing, just to do this. And it was a gamble at the time, because I had nothing at the time. I didn't know Escape Reality was going to go this far. And I had nothing. But I made that judgment and I made that decision, and if it goes downhill, I had to live with the consequences. Luckily enough, it didn't. But that's only because I put in the time and put in the effort to do it. Now, I think if you want to be a tattooist, if you want to be a rock star, if you want to be a rapper, if you want to be a singer, if you want to be an actor, if you want to be a fisherman, it doesn't matter what you want to be. If it's your dream job, why can't you do it? Why do you have to go and do something else? I'm pretty sure not everyone thinks like that. What does it seem like? Oh, I want to do this, but first I have to work like this. No, you don't. Just go and do it. Now, again, I don't want to rant on you for too long, because it can get a little bit boring if someone's just constantly talking at you. And I promise you, I'm not trying to talk at you. I'm just trying to give you my advice, and I'm trying to just put my point across, because we don't get listened to very often. That's why I love being on stage so much, because then I've got the microphone and people are listening to me for once. People are listening to what Escape Reality is about. And that is probably the only time, those 5 minutes on stage that I get, where I can speak to people and they'll listen. Because other than this, do you think looking like me, be honest, do you think looking like me, I could go out into the town, say something, and people would listen? Honestly. Because, to be fair, through my experience, I don't think they would. I don't think they would at all. Because it happens, but, again, bringing it back, it's all life. It's the clothes you wear, it's the music you listen to, it's what you do, it's how you get on with it. And it's just what you need to get used to, and it's how you need to do it. So, yeah, Eric, that's just about all I've got, really, and I hope that wasn't too boring for you.
Well, I thought that was absolutely tremendous, Grant.
Thank you.
I really can't speak highly enough of it, because I'm of the old school of old television, no rehearsals, no scripting, no auto cues, and I have done half an hour live, to the camera, as you've just done now. But the number of people who can do it today, you can count on one hand almost. Yeah. And so it's a wonderful compliment to you you've been able to talk for half an hour, and it made sense, I must say. I loved everything you said, and I think what you're saying is so true. One little last question, because we've got still got 3 or 4 minutes.
No problem.
What is religion with youngsters today? Does religion come into youngsters' life at all?
That's an interesting question. To be honest, I'm not religious as such. I do believe in a kind of spiritual level. I believe there is something, but I think that's the law of attraction, where if you think it, you can have it. If you think negatively, negative things will come to you. I do see a lot of the younger people wearing these things, rosemary beads, or they're getting them tattooed on their arms, and I don't understand that. I don't think if you're religious, why are you wearing them? I think that there are certain religions in young kids today. However, I think that it is a scary subject for them, because if you are religious and you believe in a certain thing, I believe that then there's another stereotype that people can put you into.
Yes, but the whole point is, what about honesty? You see, in the past, religion has been like a handrail for youngsters. They've had those handrails put in while they're young, but that means that they're there throughout their lives. So they try not to lie, they try not to steal. But if they haven't had any religion in their lives, what's to stop a youngster now? You're saying do what they want to do. So they go into Woolworths or into a shop, and they see something they want. Why not put it in their pockets? What stops them?
I think what stops them is... Obviously, it doesn't stop all of them. I mean, we all know it. There is a crime rate. I think what stops me is I'm not religious, but I think that I don't need something to tell me not to do it, because I want to be a better person in myself not to do it. I want to make that choice not to do it.
Yeah. Well, you see, just let me put a thought into your mind. Okay. I believe that there isn't this old man up in the sky with a big stick. I believe there's a force which is in everything. Mm-hmm. It's in you, it's in me, it's in this chair, it's in the little dog, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, that force has got a negative and a positive.
The law of attraction.
If you like electricity, if you plug in correctly, it'll light you, it'll warm you, it'll do everything. If you plug into electricity with crossed wires, you'll get sparks and explosions and electric shocks. And I think this force is exactly the same. If you do the wrong thing, in other words, use the negative side, steal and lie and be dishonest, then it comes back to you. Yeah. You'll get the sparks and you'll get the reaction of it.
Yeah.
That is a little thought I'd like to put into your mind, because I think this force, we just can't conceive the extent of it. Yeah. And I believe there are a lot of parallel dimensions. Yeah. So we might be living in different dimensions. Yeah. And this is why people argue and have crosswords and can't get on, unfortunately. But anyway, I personally think this has been a fascinating half hour.
Thank you.
Very grateful to you for coming along. And I understand that you're going to give us the benefit of a tuition so the youngsters can look in on radio, a kids' hour at 6 o'clock on Saturdays, and every other week we have Erica, who's one of my granddaughters. She does a program for kids, but you're going to do a thing for teenagers every week, hopefully.
Yes, I am. I'm hopefully going to come in and maybe teach you a few things on the camera live. I'm going to try and teach you different acrobatic movements and different ways you can exercise and feel better in yourself.
Well, that's wonderful. So, at any rate, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been as fascinated with this as I have been. I can't compliment Grant enough, because to me he's a very upright, good young man. In fact, he doesn't use drugs, and I know that his fiancée, and I know she won't mind my saying it, she was hooked on it, and she was in a terrible state, and when they got engaged, he got her off drugs, and she's been off them for a year now. So I can't speak highly enough about Grant, and the fact that he can take this group, teach it, take it all around the world, and do things with it. He's been so positive. So if you hear about Escape Reality, go and see them. They're wonderful. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all.